The big story up at Capitol Hill right now is Trump's reconciliation bill that holds in it essentially his entire agenda legislatively, which comprises massive tax cuts, huge increases to the deficit, and then the most problematic part of this is that while a part of the bill is reducing taxes for the wealthiest among us, another part of the bill that kind of seems to level out very nicely in their math is cutting benefits from programs like Medicaid. An insane exchange. So we talked a lot about that. That's not really what this is about, but instead the negotiations. Is this going to get through Congress? Right now, it's in the House. It's been fleshed out quite a bit now. We have more specifics on it that we've reviewed, and Mike Johnson's trying to whip votes. And he held a meeting behind closed doors that we have some information about. Trump getting very upset with the members who are not for the bill as of now, and then also publicly held a press conference. And let's start from the end and then we'll work backwards. Mike Johnson, after having that closed door meeting and then a press conference with Trump, held a press conference but didn't really conference with the press, as you're about to see.
To deliver, and that's what you'll see this House do this week. Now, we're not going to take a lot of questions this morning because we've already done a ton of media with you in the halls. The president gave you a lot. We gave you a lot. What we're leaving to do right now is gather up the small subgroups in the House Republican Conference and tie up the remaining loose ends. I'm very confident that we'll be able to do that. There's a great esprit de corps in the room this morning because everybody knows what's at stake. All the things we've talked about here this morning, we are going to get this done. So this is a rare thing. I'm going to say hold the questions and let me go get back to work so we can finish this thing up, okay? Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for being here this morning.
You can take the question. No, I'm good.
So the press, why were we here? What were we doing here? But him running off to go get back to work makes sense, given that right now he's in dire straits and Trump is increasingly upset, as you're going to see, with the fact that this is not going smoothly through Congress like he wanted, which is good. We're all rooting for it not to, given the details of it that have been so thoroughly discussed. So that him scurrying away followed this post-meeting press conference with Trump. And I'll show you those exchanges, then we'll look at what happened behind the scenes.
Job. And I think this was a tremendous session. You may want to say something.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. The party is unified. The House Republican Conference is excited. Multiple standing ovations. They love this president. The people back home love what he's doing. It's historic.
And Rupar captioned this: Mike Johnson goes full North Korean and claims that House Republicans gave Trump multiple standing ovations this morning. We'll talk about the more contentious part of that meeting, but someone included this photo of North Korean state TV. That's Mike.
And everybody understands the scope and the meaning of this. If we do not accomplish this mission, every one of you, all the American people, are going to have the highest tax increase that you've ever had. And among the debt ceiling cliff that's approaching and all the other problems, this is the bill to do it. I think we're going to get it done, Mr. President.
The Democrats want to...
All right, so let's dive now into some of what Trump said at this before talking about what happened in the closed doors meeting, starting with this.
Say it.
What do you think until the fiscal hawks who want to delay?
I'm a fiscal hawk.
They don't think this cut's not spending.
I'm a bigger fiscal hawk. There's nobody like me as a fiscal hawk.
Massey said it adds more deficit than Biden did, and this bill kind of...
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massey is correct in saying that this is adding Biden level
No, I don't
spending?
think Thomas Massey understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no. He thinks he's going to get publicity. And you have that. You have that. They've got some too. Go ahead.
So that's him upset with Thomas Massey, who is opposed to this, and he's a Republican. But Trump claims himself to be a fiscal hawk. When people say that, they mean you're very concerned with the debt or really interested in reducing spending. What is so infuriating about this is, number one, that people advocating for this bill have just been lying about what it would do to the debt. And number two, in a time where they say we have such a bad debt problem, and we do, it's caused by their bad tax policy, mostly, to be clear. But with that in mind, why are they even willing to cut at all taxes for wealthy individuals? Leave the rest of the tax cuts, fine. Let's just start with how about we nudge up taxes on the top 10%, 1%, 0.1%? Just Elon Musk, and go from there, okay? But what's interesting is that the quote unquote fiscal hawks, the people who are the reason why this is struggling right now to get out of the House is because you have Democrats who are opposed to it because of Medicaid being gutted correctly, and then you have people like Thomas Massey who want it to be more deficit neutral, at least, or reduce the deficit, which it very much doesn't, despite Levitt claiming stuff like this.
Just a quick follow-up. Is the president okay with this bill adding to the deficit?
This bill does not add to the deficit. In fact, according to...
To which Justin Wolfers responds with that photo. Yes, it does. But she just gets to say anything. Even as we talked about in a different segment, in front of the kids. Even when she was speaking to kids, she lied over and over. She does not care. Then Trump says, hey, you know how, well, a reporter brings up, you know how you're cutting funds to food banks? Literally. You're literally restricting, and then further in SNAP benefits, people's access to food. And Trump says, no, the cuts get more food. The cuts get more food.
Very much. You campaigned on lowering the price of groceries. How will you justify cutting food assistance in this bill?
Let me just tell you, the cut is going to give everybody much more food because prices are coming way down. Groceries are down.
Do you follow?
I don't even know.
Cut gives you more food. Less money for food gives you more food. Huh?
And eggs. You told me about eggs. You asked me a question about eggs my first week. You said eggs. I said, I just got here. Tell me about eggs. And it was going through the roof. You know that eggs now are way down. Everybody's buying eggs. Groceries down. Energy's down. Gasoline is now they're buying gasoline now for $1.99. Bullshit.
I think that sums it up. We've addressed all of those claims many times before. Then he doesn't recognize a reporter and says, get a real job, you son of a...
Andy Harris said that you didn't adequately convince enough people to vote for the bill. The House Freedom Caucus.
You mean after this speech?
After this speech, that's what
Oh,
you
yeah, I think
said.
so. Well, why don't we see how the vote is? I think it was a great talk. It wasn't a speech. We talked about things. Who do you work for?
Notice.
Who?
Notice.
I don't even know what the hell that is. You gotta get yourself a real job.
Get yourself a... Now, listen, he's literally asking questions of the U.S. president. I think his job is working out fine. Get yourself a real job. This whole time I'm watching this, look at Mike Johnson. Mike's little Johnson. Look at him. Look at him. He's just there. What do you do, Mike? So, that's what happened publicly. We'll get back to some public statements from Trump, but on Fox News, Mike Lawler detailed, or the Fox host did, but he confirmed this had happened. He's on a different end of this. He wants to see the cap raised for the SALT deductions. And that is something that benefits New York residents in blue states. With higher taxes, then you can deduct your state and local taxes. And if you raise the cap, then you can deduct more on your federal taxes on those. Again, something we talked about before, which is why I'm going so fast. And he confirms that Trump had a pretty contentious exchange with him.
Is that the president reportedly said to you with regard to this, I know your district better than you do. If you lose because of SALT, you were going to lose anyway. What do you say to those 2 points?
Well, respectfully to the president, I've won 3 times in 2-to-1 Democratic districts because I know what the issues are impacting my district.
Did he say that to you, Congressman? Is that an accurate quote?
It is, and here's the truth. I'm one of only 3 Republicans that have won in a district that Kamala Harris won. So the fact is, I know my district very well, and there's a reason why I've been successful. I respect the president. I know how important it is to pass this bill. Allowing the tax cuts to expire would be catastrophic. It would be the single.
And then on to the single tax increase. It's not that, even over the long term, it does not bear out this way. But so include middle class tax cuts. Do that. What are the other cuts for, though? What are the other cuts for? Now, maybe Trump just doesn't understand the impact of the bill. He does, but just for sake of introducing this next clip, just wait. First, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. But maybe he doesn't understand, like, he struggles with things such as opening boxes.
Okay. So, you want to help us out with this? You're the one
Just
that made it.
right there. Bippity boppity boo. Pretty simple. You tried one of the sides, just try the other side. And that will solve it for you. He was asked, given the cuts in Medicaid, he's about to just lie. So disclaimer, trigger alert, right? You're about to see disturbing lies. He says that no one will lose their health insurance, despite one of the estimates being 13 million people would, because of this bill, losing their health insurance through Medicaid. And Trump says, no one will. It'll just be the waste and the fraud.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Can you guarantee that your voters who supported the election, particularly working class voters, will not lose health insurance under this bill?
Oh, they won't lose health insurance. Not only that, remember, I'm cutting drug prices by 85%. And right now, I'm saving it. I'm saving the whole thing because I did something that nobody was willing to do. Other countries pay a ton.
I do think his hands get more tight around the phantom butt the more he's lying, right? So watch again. The more he lies, the tighter his hands get, the more stiff they get around the phantom butt in front of him.
And right now, I'm saving it. I'm saving the whole thing because I did something that nobody was willing to do. Other countries pay a tiny fraction what we do. And I instituted favored nations. We're now going to pay the lowest in the world. We're going to be the equivalent of the lowest country in the world.
Follow-up question. Mr. President, I'm here. I'm from Notice. You said that last term and it didn't work. Wait. Why don't they ask that follow-up question? The most favored nations. I love the idea. Lower prescription drug price. Please do it. I'll credit you. You know how terrible you are if you are able to do that, but you tried last time and it didn't work. Why is it different this time? Or is it really just a big old scam and a scheme? But he says no one will lose. It'll just be waste, fraud, and abuse. So when people start losing it, he's calling them waste. You were waste. You were waste. You shouldn't have had your health insurance. Now, at a different presser, he spoke on briefly Ukraine. And this is actually, hey, wait. This one's actually exciting. We're going to find out something in 2 weeks.
In your mind, is Ukraine doing enough to get this?
I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now.
I mean, what? Can it never be 3 or 1 or 5? It's always 2. Every time he's setting a fake timeline.
In your mind, is Ukraine doing enough to get this?
I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now, because I can't say yes or no. I think, look, he's a strong person. Zelensky, a strong guy, and he's not the easiest person to deal with. But I think that he wants to stop.
Yeah. Disaster, the way he just worded that. But Mario Knopfel said Russia's birth rate just fell. This is an interesting little note, kind of aside from what we're talking about, but talking about Russia, to a 200-year low, and now it's a state secret. Russia is running out of people. Births dropped so sharply this year that officials stopped publishing monthly numbers. And indeed, Newsweek reporting on the same thing. Russia classifies population data as birth rate plunges to 200-year low. Russia has moved to classify key demographic statistics following a dramatic collapse in its birth rate, which has plunged to levels not seen since the late 18th or early 19th century. Now, why do I bring this up? People like Elon will say that in industrialized, wealthy nations, the rapidly declining birth rates, how many kids people are having, is because of the woke mind virus. And it's because of liberals telling these feminists got so out of control and they wanted jobs and it messed everything up, right? And there are problems. Now we can work through said problems, especially in a world where increasingly technology is producing wealth. If we properly reinvest that wealth back into communities, into the retired population, etc., we can actually weather the storm of the working population increasingly not being comparable to the retiring population, which is the main issue that people talk about, and others. Economic growth being generated by population increases and more people in the workforce. There are issues economically that come of birth rates declining. We can address those, but I can tell you the tax policy and the social program policy of the Republican Party will not address those problems properly, and it'll be terrible. But if we harness the wealth that's being generated not by people but technologies, AI, for example, I think it is very doable for our future to be perfectly steady, even with these birth rate declines. But they say it's in the United States because of wokeness, right? It's me going around and spreading gayness everywhere, right? Just sort of it kind of excretes. Gay comes out. And so too many people are gay. They're getting trans. They're gay and they're trans. They're gay and they're trans, non-binary, but non-binary is kind of trans. So it's kind of there's all getting intertwined. And then they're sexually fluid and they're gender fluid. And that is causing good American families to fall apart and our birth rates declining. That's the narrative, right? Right. Thank you. But in Russia, the reason why they're so sympathetic to Russia is because Putin crushed the woke mind virus. Putin's Christian, doing very Christian things like mass slaughtering of civilians. He's running a country. This is why Tucker went there and did his, the grocery stores are so nice. The train station's so beautiful. It was to facilitate this idea among his followers that, hey, we go on and on about how liberty and America and democracy is so great, but look, if you go to Russia, they don't have the problems caused by woke that America has, so is it really that bad? But even on Elon's pet issue, like birth rates, they're experiencing the problem even worse than us, so much so that they're now classifying that data. Even in the right-wing, no woke, authoritarian, where they could have more control over the lives of people world that has been salivated over, lusted over by the American right wing, justifying their right wing ideology by saying, well, maybe our system's not so great if other countries are figuring out like Russia. It's actually worse there. On their pet issue, Elon says is the greatest threat to humanity, which is people having less kids. So I think that's an important note. Give me a joke.
Just make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because a man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke.
That's right. Just one single one. Let's see. Knock, knock. Who's there? Car who? Car goes beep beep. That's not it. What's the one? Knock, knock. Who's there? Who's there? KGB. Reference to The Office. But I bring up Mark Wayne Mullen because he posted this video looking fun. He said, American strength is back. Let's listen. I like the glasses.
I'm outside the Pentagon, which is that way. Can't show it on video because of the area that we're at. But I thought it was kind of interesting that today, of all the places, I'm out here ready to do a segment with Secretary Hegseth and be on the Will Cain show. And at the same time, we have the president announcing that he spent 2 hours with Putin on the phone, talking with him about ending the bloodshed in Ukraine. It's interesting when our administration, our commander-in-chief, puts people in place that believes in peace through strength. Even though we had a disastrous last 4 years of foreign policy by peace through appeasement, now things are starting to change because America's leading again, and that's what the world needs, a strong leader. Thanks for letting me do this, guys.
To what do you even mean? What just happened? I was watching this and I was following and then I just got totally lost. First of all, you said that Biden accomplished peace through appeasement. No, you meant he didn't get peace through appeasement because the last administration was doing peace through appeasement. But Trump's doing the closest thing to appeasement ever, which is stands towards Russia. And then he said, it's interesting when you have strong leaders I guess that's how you get a 2-hour phone call with Putin. Was that the logic? Where he accomplished nothing, Mark Wayne? Nothing came of it. Nothing came of it. The only thing that came of it was that Trump seemingly backed down on his stance that Russia should agree to the 30-day ceasefire for the purpose of negotiations before negotiations began. And then now he's fine with not doing that, which, okay, but nothing happened. But we're supposed to believe that Trump's picking the best people, even though Trump's Homeland Security Secretary doesn't know what habeas corpus is.
So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me.
No, he didn't use it. He suspended it. So it's the opposite of what you mean, which is due process before the government takes away someone's rights by detaining them. So then the suspension of habeas corpus would be that you're not getting due process before you're being detained or you're being removed or you're having your rights taken away. She defined it as the opposite of, okay, just with that in mind, let's watch one more time. The opposite of what it means. The best people, the most intelligent people in the Trump administration, ladies and gentlemen. Chrissy now.
So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right
let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the live free or die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents and to all Americans. So, Secretary Noem, do you support?
That's brutal. Habeas corpus is the president's right to remove people. What? Christy? I thought better of Christy. I heard that story of... it's too overdone. Oh, she killed Cricket. Joke about Cricket. You do it. You make the joke. You know what I'm saying. She killed chickens. This is when I get tired with my own myself. Do you ever get tired with yourself? I just got tired with myself. Dimian said the Secretary of Homeland Security's definition of habeas corpus is the opposite of the definition of habeas corpus. Oh, Christy, what are we gonna do? I'll leave it there. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you next time.